Are you ready to stop the self-sabotage and create the life you desire? Well, in order for that to happen, you need to break free from the bad beliefs that are holding your success hostage. You need to optimize the stress by turning it into extra energy for success. And those hurtful habits? Well, we need to give that pain a purpose for progress. Welcome to Stop the Self-Sabotage and Create the Life You Desire podcast.
Let's say that you're at the beach, having a really good time, splashing around in the water, and you like to go out a little bit further and see what you might be able to discover as far as seashells or sand dollars. And then you wind up getting out too far. All of a sudden, things have shifted. You cannot feel the sand beneath your feet, and you get a little concerned. Now, maybe you were told not to go out that far. Or maybe it's not your fault and you were taken by the tide. But anyways, you're beginning to experience some distress. And then someone shows up on their jet ski and they give you a hand up and they're like, hey, let's go explore over here. And you're off on your next journey. Much different than what you were feeling a moment previous. Or maybe they showed up and they made you wrong for being out there. And instead of giving you a hand up, they actually started berating you, making you feel even worse. You're struggling as it is. Maybe they even try to push you down. And that is now triggering some fear. What is self-esteem to you? The way your powerful mind sees it, it is the emotions that you optimize whenever you're in a challenging situation. My mom lived for, 35 years in Florida, just a couple of minutes from the beach. And we were taught that if you got out in the water and a riptide got a hold of you, you never tried to swim back towards the beach. You'd exhaust yourself and you'd wind up drowning. You'd have to swim parallel to it until you felt like that the riptide was no longer holding you back from the beach, because it'll only go for a certain length of space. And then you could get back to the beach. Also, swim where there are lifeguards, to where if they see you beginning to have challenges, they can get out there and assist you. Self-esteem comes about whenever you begin to think that you're going down. It's called emotional flooding. And you can actually draw on tools to say, I can get out of this. I can swim along where the riptide is until it finally ends. I'm someplace where I can holler out for an authority figure and say, hey, I need some assistance. What happens, though, whenever our self-esteem, when we were younger, when it was developing, whenever we went into an experience with our self-esteem where we did not have the tools in order to optimize the challenging situation, self-doubt showed up. And if we were being manipulated by someone else, if we were being punished, where the punishment far outweighed the experience that we just had, well, that self-doubt now turns into shame. And the challenge is that if you find yourself in another situation where you are emotionally flooded, you can wind up going back to that younger you aspect that didn't have the tools the first time around and try to move through the situation based on the maturity level of the younger you. I'm going to give you an example that happened to me just yesterday. So I will start it by saying I went through an experience when I was 13 where I hung out with somebody that my dad did not like. It's kind of like getting too far out in the ocean and you didn't realize that you were that far out. And he lost his temper over that to the point to where he broke my arm. Okay. So we have self-esteem, the fact that I did something wrong that I didn't even realize I was doing wrong. That then caused self-doubt. Oh my gosh, if you would have just told me. But then it went into shame. Shame says you're broken, you're flawed, and you cannot be fixed. And shame is experienced whenever the punishment far outweighed what you just did. Okay. So I have to be careful that whenever I find myself in certain circumstances, that younger me does not get triggered. But she did yesterday. So yesterday, I was accused by people who used to be really close to me. There was 4 of them. I was accused of improper action. That was a felony. And if people have done this action in the past and were actually found guilty, prison time. This was a serious accusation. Took about 30 minutes to recognize that the accusation that they were accusing me of was simply a clerical error done on the part of my local county assessor. And I didn't steal anybody's property. The assessor deeded it wrong. Okay, seems like an easy fix. Except that the accusation far outweighed the experience. And so right off the bat, I was disordered. Talked about that the last video. Self-confidence comes from taking action on orders, on what you value in an order that is going to bring about the results of you being your healthiest. When you are disordered, you have been taught to put somebody above you. That is the very first step of learned helplessness. Learned helplessness says you must take this personal, that their reaction that is so above and beyond the experience, that it's your fault. And they now have power over you. So it's disordered. When your system experiences disorder, either through an extended period of time or because the current immersion is so intense, you then go dysregulated. So this is self-esteem is all about keeping your emotions regulated. When you are dysregulated, you feel like you're drowning. It's called emotional flooding. And so your system is now stuck in fight, flight, freeze, or appease, also known as fawn. Now, out of those, you'll have your favorite. Mine is, oh my gosh, and I didn't do anything wrong. I have to prove that I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, that's the 13-year-old that got beat for hanging out with someone that wasn't approved of, that she had no idea. Parents had never met the people. Okay? So your system is now stuck in that, and it is dysregulated, and it starts operating from the level of survival that you were in the first time you went through that experience, the level of maturity that you were at when you went through that experience, and you are now trying to solve a complex adult problem from an immature younger you that couldn't cope with it the first time. Yes. So, what do you need to do to move back into unsinkable self-esteem? Well, we need to get your life jacket on. And that life jacket is going to mean different things for different people, but we've got to go back down to the basics, and we have to put things back in order. So what needs to be put back into order for you? You don't take it personal. That's the first step of learned helplessness. And they don't have power over you. We have to begin to give you the space and the place for you to begin to take your power back. And that's going to be different for everybody, but I'm going to give you a few cues on how I do it. The very first thing I know that I need to engage in is co-regulation with someone else in an authority figure experience to where they can help stabilize me. This is the reason why I reach out to family members. I reach out to close friends and go, oh, I'm going through this, assist me. And therein lies the problem. I didn't have anybody available to me. All of this took place mid-morning. It was 9 o'clock last night before I was able to reach out to an authority figure. And they're like, okay, yeah, this is how you can fix the situation. It's really no big deal. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I had over 9 hours that I needed to deal with being dysregulated. So I had to step back and go, I need to put things back in their proper order. What is the order? Well, for me, I need peace. Now, peace comes from either stepping back from a situation and going, I need to view this. Okay. Peace can also come from time. It can take up to 72 hours to process an attack on your self-esteem. I've got it down now that I've been working on it. And if I don't have anybody that can help co-regulate me, I've got it down to where 12 to 24. So don't beat yourself up if it takes a full 72 hours, but within that 72 hours, you need to be reaching out to someone who can assist you. Not by blaming, shaming, and complaining about the other person, but assist you going, what do you need? What support needs to take place? What answers are we looking for? All right. So for me, it's peace. That helps pull me out of learned helplessness. And for me, peace means, I go back to the original meaning of peace in Hebrew, nothing missing, nothing broken. I'm not broken. In fact, let's look at my arm that was broken the first time I went through one of these experiences where I didn't do anything wrong. And now you're accusing me and you're going to hurt me. And the way you're going to hurt me is so outrageous compared to the incident. Yeah. So when my arm healed, that was actually the strongest part of me. So that decades later, whenever I fell and I put that arm out, I didn't shatter my wrist. The doctors told me that because it had been broken before and then healed, it was the strongest area of me. So it's like, okay, nothing broken. I've healed. I've done my work on this. It's taken me a little bit to come into this awareness. It's taken me a few hours, but I've done the work on people who are like this and want to weaponize the best parts of somebody against them. See, because these people have been close to me at one time, they knew how much I care about others. And they also knew that they could use that against me. Yeah, I've done the work. which means now there's going to be boundaries and rules on how to move forward in a way that this can be addressed based on me, not me having to prove myself to someone else. So the very first thing that I look at for me is peace. Nothing missing. Oh no. I'm realizing just how far I've come. I'm also realizing the people that I'm dealing with. Yeah. After peace for me, though, is what's known as grace and truth. A lot of people want to extend grace. Grace is unmerited favor of forgiveness. It's what it means. It's to forgive. Forgiveness says that I am going to release you from a debt that there is no way you can pay. There is no way they can pay me back for their blatant accusations that were unfounded. If they would have just asked me and we could look for the truth instead of them pre-deciding on it, there's no way they can pay me back for the emotional anguish that they put me through. And I'm supposed to forgive others. But if you extend grace, grace and truth are twins. And if you extend grace without truth, it's not really grace. You are enabling somebody else's dysfunctional behavior. This is the reason why we have to have truth. And truth says, even though there's forgiveness, there's still consequences of this behavior. You know, even though I found myself swimming out in an area where I didn't have my footing and no fault of my own, okay, I didn't make the mistake on the paperwork. I did everything correctly and I have a paperwork trail that proves it. There's still consequences for myself. I still need to move forward in a way where this situation gets resolved. But while I can give forgiveness to someone else, the same way I gave it to myself, even when I screw up, okay, I screwed up. How are we going to get to resolution? Well, that doesn't absolve ourselves or others from the actions that are needed to be taking. I get it out in gooder English. And does not absolve us from the actions that are needed to correct it. That's the truth. And so now I'm dealing with the truth that, it doesn't absolve them from their consequences of what they decided to accuse me of. You know, even Jesus had healed somebody, and then he saw him later on hanging out at the temple. And he said, you know, you really need to quit sinning, or else you are going to experience something much worse. So he was saying you need to stay in integrity with the grace that's been extended to you, the forgiveness that's been extended, because if it's not on me that it's all going to hit the fan for you. You chose that. And so there is the truth that says, yeah, I'm not going to doubt and I'm not going to be shamed. Whether it's being triggered within myself, and I go back to that younger me, no, I need to go to the wise me that knows that I need to draw a boundary. Boundaries bless, rules restrict. And so what do I need to do to keep from swimming in that area? That's going to be good for me. And what do I need to do to restrict someone else from affecting me that way? You may have heard me say this before. If you're always having to be the bigger person, well, you can't be hanging out with those smaller people. Haters hate up. They don't ever hate down. So what do you need to do to have unsinkable self-esteem? Well, that relates back to how are you going to optimize your emotions and get into action? You can't think about it. You can't feel about it. The only way that these emotions can be harnessed and be seen as putting on your life jacket is there's action. You can't look at the life jacket and go, wow, yeah, that might be nice. And if you don't have a life jacket, you need to reach out to an authority figure. There are 4 types of boundaries. One is, I've got this. I don't need anybody's help. I already got on my life jacket. The second one is, oh, I'm dealing with somebody, and maybe we need to make sure that each one of us have on our life jackets. Okay, so that's when you're going to make a request of someone. But if they don't go by the request, you already have consequences in mind. The third one is you need an authority figure. This is the third type of boundary. You don't have a life jacket. You need that authority figure to bring one out, maybe even get you on the jet ski and go have a good time. And then the fourth one is, I've put on my life jacket. I have done everything I can for this. I'm getting out of the water. Wonderful author, Shelley Campbell, it's spelled with a C, C-H on Shelley, wrote a book years ago, decades ago. I still enjoy it. And she said, there are 3 types of people. There is the dolphin. They love to play and frolic. And then there are sharks. And then there are tuna. And the dolphins don't like messing with sharks. But if the sharks decide to go after the tuna, well, the dolphins will protect them and then turn around and eat the tuna themselves. And so Shelley was basically saying, what type of person are you? Because if a shark sees you as tuna, you better put on a shark fin and start acting like it, or you just need to get out of the water. Or maybe you're a dolphin and, you don't like messing with sharks. But if they start messing with your supply, with your food, what nurtures and nourishes you, you're going to let them know. Not going to happen, because one blow from the dolphin's nose placed correctly on the shark sinks. And if a shark does not swim, they drown. So that last one of the boundary of, do you even need to be in the water? Maybe you need to go be frolicking someplace else with your dolphins. And to be able to do that, you just need to remove yourself from the experience, or you need to bring in an authority figure to assist you. Either way, you can be unsinkable. You might go down for a little bit. I went down for over 9 hours yesterday, but then I came back up because I'm healed. And where I've healed, I'm stronger than ever. Do you need to heal the very first level that when you go through moving into who you really are, the impression of increase, life that's opulent? I was talking about opulence with a client right before this. A life that's opulent. Very first level is healing. And then after that, because you can get stuck in healing, you got to give healing. You got to give pain a purpose for progress. After that, then you discover what's brilliant about you. And then you set goals. And then from those goals, you can begin to develop your vision. So if you need assistance with healing, I'm here for you. If you want to discover more of your brilliance, let's do that. If you're ready to set the goals and achieve them, and the vision of who you really are, we just talked about the core 4. Those are the 4 sessions of you working with me through strategic intervention coaching and rapid results hypnosis. Let's make it happen for you. But until then, make sure that you've got your life jacket on before you go to play in the water. Becoming a healingpreneur. Could that be you? It's not just a career, it is a calling to help people peel back the layers so they can move into progress of their brilliance and their magnificence. If this could potentially be you, then I want to let you know I am offering you the ability to train with me privately at the group investment. I only have room right now for one person to be able to do this over the summer. We're going to take a look at our schedules, and we're going to fit training to where it's a good fit for you, as well as what I have open. And you can take up to 3 months, not only to train, but up to 3 months to take care of your investment. But again, I only have an opening for one. Why is this? Because my trainings that I do, even on the advanced side, are a little bit lighter over the summer. So it creates space, and that might be a space and a place that is waiting for you. So this is what I'd like you to do. Go to dawnlandrum.com, click on the tab, become a certified hypnotist, see everything that is offered there. Again, it is at the group rate that you will be training with me privately. And then reach out to me. There's going to be a button that shows up on the bottom where we can have a phone call. And let's make sure that this and myself are the right fit for you. So, healingpreneur, is that your calling?